we are at Pihe'a Trail, and the first thing we recommend before entering any native forest is that you practice biosanitation, and the first step in that would be to use a boot brush and scrub off any mud or soil or seeds or any kind of pathogen that may be traveling on your footwear. And the second step would be to use rubbing alcohol, and you spray the bottom of your shoes and the tops and maybe even your pant legs in order to kill any remaining pathogens that are left on your footwear.
He manao I kawe kiu o koke I kanani o kaina o kanoe po ai ai o kalala.
Right now we're about to enter our Pihe'a Ridge Trail. Behind me is the beginning of the trail, and it is tradition to ask permission before we enter a sacred space. Right now we are in the Wauakua, which is the realm of the gods. Right now I will be offering the oli of Na'amakua, asking for permission for our team to enter the sacred space and to give us protection and guidance. Na'amakua mai kalahiki a kalakau. Mai ka ho'oku'i a ka hala vai. Nā au mākua iakahina ākua iakahina alo. Ho mai ke akamai, e ho mai ka maupopopono, e ho mai ka ike pāpālua, e ho mai ka mana. Amama ua noa.
O kaina, o kanoe po ai ai, o kalala.
So here we are off of the Pihe'a Trail, and we're taking a look at this fern here, which is actually a native, and we know that by looking at the scales here, and they're very soft to the touch, almost papery, but a soft texture. Whereas the invasive Australian tree fern we have would be very sharp. There are some other differences in the way the leaves are held. These leaves are held down, and the Australian tree fern would hold its leaves much more upright.
Hi, my name is Kim Rogers. I work for Kauai Invasive Species Committee, and here I am standing under a beautiful ohi'a tree. Ohi'a is known as the backbone of our native forests in Hawaii. They are the first plant to start growing after a fresh lava flow, and they actually stay with the forest. So they're one of the first to start growing, and they mature and they stay with the forest. And typically, whenever you're surrounded by ohi'a, you know you're in a Hawaiian forest. Unfortunately, there is a threat to ohi'a known as rapid ohi'a death. It's basically two different species of fungal pathogens in the Ceratocystis family. They're fungal pathogens, and interestingly enough, they grow inside the tree. You won't see the fungus on the leaf, you won't see it growing on the bark. It grows in what's known as the sapwood of the tree, and that's where the water flows up and down. And as that fungus colonizes in the sapwood, it chokes the tree of any water, and eventually the tree, unfortunately, will succumb and die. So we are very concerned about ohi'a because we do consider it the most important tree in our forest. So we want to do everything we can to save it. So another important fact about ohi'a is that in our forest, ohi'a serves to help draw moisture and water from the air. So it's known to be super important to our watershed. And typically in a healthy ohi'a forest, you're gonna see canopies of trees. You're gonna also see understory of other plants growing beneath the ohi'a trees. And then as well, you're gonna see ground cover. And the combination of all of this serves as a giant sponge in our forests, and that giant sponge is what holds moisture and holds water, replenishes our aquifers, which are basically our drinking water. That sponge also holds water and moisture in place to prevent erosion, so that we don't have that chocolate milk ring around our ocean and our coastlines after a big heavy rain. So basically a super healthy forest in the mountains helps ensure that we have a super healthy reef at the ocean.
So we're off a Pihea trail a little bit here, and we've come across the native greenbrier, which in the mainland, I think the briars, or on the continent, the briars are famous for being very thorny. Like a lot of Hawaiian species, these have lost their thorns, so it's very smooth. It's called Smilax melastomifolia, and melastomes are known for having the leaves like this, or having the venation like that. And melastomes are very problematic in Hawaii. This is, however, a native species. No problem at all, but it does bear the species name melastomifolia because of the venation in the leaves.
Never more to say goodbye. E ho'i mai ana, I kahikina, I kala.
Hi, my name's Natalia. I'm the botanist here at the Kauai Invasive Species Committee. We're coming through the trail here, but we've stopped at a point to look at one of our priority target species, which is a little sedge called juncus. So it gets a little confusing. There are a mix of different sedges in here, but the one we're focusing on is this one. We have a matrix that we run through and rate these species for their invasiveness and their ability to do damage to the environment. And through that matrix, this has been one of our target species. You can see that it's round and kind of spongy inside. And that's how it's different from, you know, say this sedge or this sedge. So yeah, this is one we're concerned about. It's coming in on people's shoes. They're tracking it in. It's mostly found along the trail, but we're concerned about this one getting into the sensitive bogs in the huaka'i and potentially choking out the rare and sensitive and specially evolved species in Kauai's bogs. Here we are stopped off the side of the road, and we're taking a look at this invasive species, kahili ginger, and what it does to a forest. This is an example of why we want to control species. As you can see, it's completely taking over the understory and choking it out, so new seedlings and new native species can't grow. It's as far as the eye can see, completely covering this bowl, and this is the reason why it's so important to control a species like this.
So after hiking, I carry a biosanitation kit in my car to where I can take my muddy boots off and put my slippers on. And I also have a boot brush inside to where I can get as much mud off as possible. And then after that, the next stage is I take rubbing alcohol and I spray the bottom of my footwear and tops of them too. And this is what will kill, the alcohol will kill the microscopic fungal pathogen that is detrimental to ohi'a. So then I can just take my footwear off, put them in my tub, and head on down the hill.
Thank you for joining us today for our virtual huaka'i, the first of a 3 2-part series. Please stay tuned for the rest of the week and join us at Alec